Now, today we will talk about the equation of the straight line, the equation of a straight line. And the equation of a straight line is given in the form y equal mx plus c. Y equal mx plus c. Now, why is it important for us to know the equation of a straight line? Now, once we find the equation of the straight line, we could find every point on that line. Every point on that line, no matter how long is it, every coordinate on that line. So when we know the equation of a straight line, it will help us to find every single point on that line. All right? Now, let's talk about a few terms here. Now, let's start with the m. Notice that when we were doing the gradient, we use the letter m to represent gradient. And here again, the m represents the gradient of the line. So the value before the x, when it's written in this form y equal mx plus c, the m represents the gradient of the line or the slope of the line. The next thing we want to talk about is c. C represents the y-intercept. C represents the y-intercept, or where it cuts the y-axis. So notice here, at this point, the line cuts the y-axis. So at C, or the y-intercept, that line cuts the y-axis. Now, we must remember that where it cuts the y-axis, x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. All right? So the C represents the y-intercept. The M represents the gradient of the line. So let's talk a little bit more about the gradient of the line, M. Now, if M is positive, if M is positive, the direction of the line will look like this. When M is positive. So this line here, the line looks like this whenever M is a positive number. And notice it goes from where? From your left up to the right. From left up to right. Now, where the gradient is negative, when M is negative, notice it comes up from your right, up from your left, sorry, and down to your right. So it changes direction. When it's positive, this is the direction it goes. When it's negative, this is the direction of the line. So we could just look at the line and know if the gradient is positive or negative. We might not know the gradient, but we could know if it is positive or negative. So the equation of the line is y equal mx plus c. The m represents the gradient. If the gradient is positive, this will be the shape of the line, or this will be the direction of the line. If the gradient is negative, here we will have, this will be the direction of the line. Now, and also C represents the y-intercept, or where it cuts the x-axis, cuts the y-axis when x is equal to 0. Now, what we want to do is, from this, determine the gradient and the y-intercept of these two lines. The gradient and the y-intercept of these two lines. Now, anytime we're asked to find the gradient and the y-intercept of a line, the first thing we must do, we must write it in the form y equal mx plus c. Now, if we know that this here is not in that form as yet, so we have to make it or transpose it so that y could be the subject of the formula. Y can be the subject of the formula. So let's transpose this line to make y the subject of the formula. So here we have 4x plus 2y is equal to 7. So the first thing we'll do is we will take over our 4x on the other side. Note that the 4 is a positive, or the 4x is adding on this side. When it comes over, it will subtract. So it will be 2y is equal to minus 4x plus 7. So far we begin to have it in this form. But remember, we need to make y the subject of the formula. Y the subject of the formula. So we need to take the 2 over. Notice here, because we're just taking the 2 over, the 2 is multiplying. When it goes over, it will divide. So since it's 2y, when it goes over, it divides everything. The 2 divides every value over here. So y is equal to negative 4x over 2 plus 7 over 2. Negative 4x divided by 2 will give us negative 2x, and this will give us plus, well, we can leave it like that, or if we want, we could write 3.5. So here the gradient in this case, will be negative 2. The gradient will be negative 2, m is equal to negative 2, and c will be equal to 3.5. So our gradient is negative, so it means this line will have this shape, or go in this direction. Now let's do the other example, or what you could do, you could try it by yourself to see if you can find the value of y, or the value of the gradient and the y-intercept. All right, so if you would have done it, let's do it together now to see if you got the same answer. Remember that we have to write this equation in the form y equal mx plus c, right? So here we need to make y the subject of the formula, then see what is the gradient and the y-intercept. So let's begin. Now the first thing we need to do is we will begin by taking our 8 over. And notice the 8 is positive. So when it goes over, it will become a negative. So now we have 3x plus 5y is equal to negative 8. The next thing we'll do, our next step, we will take the 3x over. Alright? The 3x here is positive. So when it goes over, it is the inverse, and the inverse of positive is negative. So 5y is equal minus 3x take 8. And next, we will have to take over our 5. Now, since we're taking the 5 over, and the 5 is multiplying, when it goes over, it does the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So therefore y is equal to, and the 5 will divide both numbers, the minus 3x and the negative 8. So we'll now have minus 3x over 5 take 8 over 5. So now let's identify our gradient and our y-intercept. So our gradient is the coefficient of x, right? mx. The m represents the gradient. So the coefficient of x is minus 3 over 5. So the gradient of that line is minus 3 over 5. And since our c value is 8 over 5, our y-intercept will be minus 8 over 5. So there we can find the gradient and the y-intercept by just making y the subject of our formula and identifying the m value and our c value. So remember, the equation in the straight line is written in the form y equal mx plus c. M representing the gradient, c representing the y-intercept, or the value of y when x is equal to 0. right? When the gradient is positive, this is the direction of the line. When the gradient is negative, here we have the direction of the line. And if we're given a equation and we want to know the y-intercept or the gradient, we write it in the form y equal mx plus c, m representing our gradient, c representing our y-intercept. In our next class, we will find the gradient of or find the equation of a straight line when the gradient and a point is given. So, in this class, we will be finding the gradient or the equation of the straight line when we have the gradient and a point on that line. Now, once the gradient is given, what we could do is begin to rewrite the equation, substituting the gradient for m. So if the gradient or the equation of the straight line is y equal mx plus c, and the gradient is equal to 2, it therefore means y is equal to 2x plus c. And now, all we need to do is find for c. Now, since we know a point on this line, one point on this line is 5 and negative 9, 5 representing x and negative 9 representing y, we substitute those two values in the equation to calculate the value of c, to calculate what the value of c is. So what we do, since negative 9 is equal to y, so this is our x value, this is our y value, negative 9 is equal to 5, negative 9 is equal to y, so we have minus 9 is equal to 2, x is equal to 5 times 5 plus c. So we work that out. So we have minus 9 is equal to 10 plus c, 2 5's 10 plus c. So taking our 10 over to find c, minus 9 take 10 is equal to c. So that will give us negative 19. So the line will cut the y-axis, the y-intercept at minus 19. So now the equation of this straight line will be, y is equal to 2x take 19. And then we could find every point on that line knowing our equation. So let's try the next example. Here the gradient is negative 2/3, and a point B, is negative 9, 4. So again, we follow the same steps. Since our equation of the straight line is y is equal to mx plus c, and we know our value for m, we can substitute that into our equation. So therefore, y is equal to minus 2 over 3x plus c. Now, we will substitute our values in this equation. Our x value, which will be negative 9, our y value, which will be 4, and then we will solve for our equation. So let's substitute. So y is 4, so we have 4 is equal to negative 2 over 3 times minus 9 plus c. So multiplying here, negative 2/3 times negative 9, 1, this will give us 3, and we have 4 is equal to negative 2 times negative 3 will give us positive 6 plus c. Positive 6 plus c. So now we take over our 6. 4 take 6 is equal to c. So negative 2 is equal to c. So the y-intercept is negative 2. Y-intercept is negative 2. Now, note. Let's calculate for, so now let's write the equation of our straight line. So since our y-intercept is 2 and we know our gradient is negative 2/3, the equation of the line will be y is equal to minus 2 over 3x take 2. So this is the equation of our straight line. Now, what we can do, we could check to see if this is true. Now, here, where we see x, we will substitute 9. To substitute 5 to see if we will get 9 as our answer, just to show that this equation will hold true. So y is equal to 2 times 5 take 19. Y is equal to 10 take 19. Therefore, y is equal to negative 9. So you see we got our y value there. Alright, let's try the same thing for this equation here. Here our x value is negative 9. So y is equal to minus 2 over 3 times negative 9 take 2. So y is equal to, we multiply with this, we will get positive 6 take 2. Y is equal to 4. So you see we got our value there for y. So here it is that this is how we find the equation of the straight line when the gradient and the point is given. In our next class, we will try to find the equation of the straight line when we have 2 points. Alright, so in this class, we will strive to find the equation of the straight line when 2 points are given. So here it is. Remember, equation of the straight line is y is equal to mx plus c. So what we need to do when we have to find the equation of the straight line is to find the gradient and to find the y-intercept. And I'll show you 2 ways that we could go about doing this. The first way, let's find y, let's find c. Now, so example 1, we're using the point a minus 2 minus 3 and b 4, 9. Now, let's find the first step to find the gradient. So step 1, we find the gradient. So the gradient is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where x1, y2, y1, sorry, x2, y2. So we have our values there. So now let's substitute into our equation. So our gradient is equal to 9 take negative 3 over 4 take negative 2. So 9 take negative 3, that will give us 12. And 4 take negative 2 will give us 6. So our gradient is equal to 12 divided by 6, which is give us 2. So our gradient is equal to 2. So now that we know our gradient, we can use either point to find our y-intercept. Either point A or point B. You will have the same answer. So let's use point A. So point A says it's negative 2, 3. So y is equal to our gradient, which is 2, times negative 2. Sorry, we have to put in our y value. Our y value is negative 3. All right? And plus c, because we're finding for c. So working this out, we'll have negative 3 is equal to negative 4 plus c. 2 times negative 2 will give us negative 4. Then we take that over. So negative 3 plus 4 is equal to c. So that will give us 1. So the value or the point where the equation cuts the straight line is at 1, the y-intercept. So now substituting that in the equation, we will have the equation of the straight line as y is equal to 2x plus 1 will give us our equation 2x plus 1. Now, there is another way we could do it, or we find the same equation. Now, we can write it in this form. Another form that we could use to find the equation is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Alright? Now here, we could use again either values. We could use x1 and y1 or x2 and y2 and substitute it here to find our equation. And what we will see, we will get the same answer as we'll have here. So let us use in this case 4 and 9. 4 and 9. So if we have it in this form, y1 will be the y value, x1 will be the x value, right? And we know our gradient, we found our gradient as being 2. So what we have, y minus 9 is equal to 2 times x minus 4. Alright? Now, simplifying this, working this out, what will we get? Y minus 9, we multiply over here throughout by 2, so we will have 2 times x, and 2 times negative 4 will give us negative 8. And then we bring our 9 over. So y is equal to 2x, take 8 plus 9. And negative 8 plus 9 will give us 1. So y is equal to 2x plus 1. And we have the same answer as we have here. So we can either, once we know the gradient, we could either use this way in finding the c value, or this way in finding the c value, where we have y minus y1 is equal to x times x minus x1. And either way, we will have the same answer. Now, what you could do is pause the video and try example number 2 and see, choose which way you prefer, and you can do it that way. All right, here we have another example. Here we have another, we'll do another example where we will be using C, the point C, negative 4, 3, point D, 1, 5. And we will find the equation of that straight line. So the first thing we need to do is find our gradient. And we remember that the gradient is equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So our gradient is equal to, using our points here, we have x1 and y1, x2, y2, right? So let us substitute our value. So y2 is 5, 5 take y1 is 3 over 1 take negative 4. 1 take negative 4. So here we will have our gradient as, so we have 2 over 5. 2 over 5 as our gradient. Now, so now we need to find our C value. We can find our C value. Now we could choose either values, either our C value or our D value to find our answer. So either one, same answer we will have. So we have now y, let's use here C, 3 is equal to y is equal to 2 over 5 times negative 4 plus c. Alright? So now we're simplifying. So 3 is equal to 2 times negative 4 will give us negative 8 over 5 plus c. Taking this over, we have now 3 plus, if we can take plus 8 over 5 is equal to c. Alright? 3 plus 8 over 5 is equal to c. Alright. Knowing using our knowledge of fractions, what we will do is change this to a mixed number. Alright? A mixed number. So when we change that to a mixed number, we'll have 3 plus 5 into 8 is 1, and 3 remain over 5 plus is equal to c. And 1 plus 3 will give us 4 and 3 over 5 c. So our c value is 4 and 3/5. So therefore, our equation will be y is equal to, our gradient is 2/5, 2 over 5x plus 4 and 3/5. Or if you have 23 over 5, that will be correct also. So let's find now our second value. Let's find or use our second method to find the equation of the straight line. Or we said we could use y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And x1 or y1 could be either of the 2 points. So let's substitute. So let's use our second point, point D. So y minus y1 in this case will be 5 is equal to our gradient. What is our gradient? 2/5. Gradient 2/5. So 2 over 5 times x minus x1 in this case will be 1. Alright? So now what we will do is simplify. So y minus 5 is equal to 2/5 times x, which will give us 2 over 5x. Take 2 over 5. 2 over 5 times 1 will be 2 over negative 2 over 5. 2 over 5 times minus 1. So now bringing our 5 over, y will be equal to 2 over 5x. Take 2/5 plus 5. And working 2/5 plus 5, that would give me 4 and 3/5. 4 and 3/5. So y is equal to 2 over 5x plus 4 and 3 over 5. So here we have the same equation as that. So either way we want to work it, we will have our same answer. All right? So in our next class, we will talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel and perpendicular lines.